Okay, so problem number 1. All you have to do, some of you were asking me, is that f of g of x? And I did not respond. I said, I don't know, don't test me. I don't know what that is. So no, that was f times g. So it's multiplying both functions. All you need to do here is multiply f, and by convenience, I'm going to put 6x squared first, which is g of x, times f of x, which is 2x plus 6. And then just distribute. When you distribute, all you have to do is, let me move this over. It would be 12x cubed plus 36x squared. So that is supposed to go in that first blank. The second blank, what is the domain of cubic functions? Well, it's the set of all real numbers from negative infinitive to positive infinitive. And there's it. Okay. Problem number 2. Number 2 is the division of both the functions. So all you need to do is put one on top of the other. And that was it. This thing is just playing around with me, I guess. Okay, so f divided by g is just 6x plus 5 divided by 3x minus 2. And that's all you need to do. Now, what about the domain? What's the domain? Well, the restriction on rational functions is that the denominator cannot be equal to 0. Then at this point, you just add 2. So then here it's going to be 3x equals not equal to 2, and then divided by 3. So x cannot be 2/3. So that's the work to find in the domain. So that happens when you have rational functions. The other restriction is when you have the square root, the inside has to be greater than or equal to 0. So on the test, I could give you a rational, or I could be the radical. Okay, either one. We should be ready for both. Okay, so then on the domain is going to be from negative infinitive to 2/3 with the union of 2/3 to positive infinitive. Number 3. In number 3, they want you to find f of g of x. So let me just make this a little bigger. So f of g of x, f of g of x is the same thing as f, and g of x is for x minus 1. So for every x in the f function, which is here, I'm going to substitute that x for 4 of x minus 1. So it's 8 parentheses 4x minus 1 close parentheses, and then it's plus 14. Then you just distribute. That's going to be 32x negative 8 plus 14. Then you combine the negative 8 and the 14. And the answer is going to be f of g of x equals, it would be 32x, and then you combine, what is negative 8 plus 14? Positive 6. And that was the answer. Any questions on that problem? Sure. Like this?
Did you do number 2, or you didn't do
Number 2, yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes, therefore, the functions are inverses of each other. That was the conclusion for number 8, okay? Now, number 9, yes. I'm sorry? Yes, that's the third part.
You need like the 3 little dots.
The 3 dots, the therefore symbol, yes. Yeah. Okay, so number 9. Number 9, is that a one-to-one function? Yes. Why is that a one-to-one function? Well, because any horizontal line passes through the graph once only.
Teachers, please excuse this interruption. At this time,
In problem number 10, it says, what is the transformation? Well, because you have an x minus 3, it moves to the right 3 units. So moves to the right 3 units. That would be D. So number 10 is letter D. Move to the right 3 units. So if it's within the parentheses, it moves left or right. Okay? Number 11. You have several transformations. The inside the parentheses tell you to move left 2 units. The outside number, it's a vertical stretch by a factor of 2. And the plus 3 moves the graph up 13 units. So what was the answer for this problem?
B.
Letter B. Okay. Okay. So for number 12, if the number has a 0.2, change it into a fraction to understand what that is. So what is 0.2 into a fraction? Well, 0.2 into a fraction is 2/10, which is 1/5. We'll get the reciprocal of that because it's inside the radical. So what's the reciprocal of 1/5? 5. And then think about the vertical transformations. If it's more than 1, it's a stretch. If it's less than 1, between 0 and 1, then it's a shrink. This is 5 because the reciprocal is a 5. So it's a horizontal stretch by a factor of 5. And that was A. Horizontal stretch. Number 13. What I recommend that you do for number 13 is sketch the graph just the way we did on the notes and on the assignment. Here, the first one moves to the right 2 units. The second one, it's at -5, and then you graph it. So if you want to go from the first to the second, you have to shift that graph to the left, and that would be how many units? 7 units. So it's A. Okay. And then number 14, the instructions were the same as the worksheet that you had. The first one, what you need to do first is get the cubic function. At x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0. At x is equals to 1, y is equal to 1. At x is equals to 2, 2 to the third power is 8. Why am I doing that? So that I can give more or less an accurate graph. -2, -8. And then I connect the points. It's half of a parabola and then another half of the parabola. This is the original, and it has to be a solid line. Then y sub 2 has to be a dashed line. So the y sub 2 is the same graph but shifted to the left 4 units. So move every single unit, every single point to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 to the right, and then is 8. 1 to the left, 1 down, and then is -8. And then just 2 parabolas, one here and another one over here. So that way it looks like if it's shifted to the left, okay? It has to be the same graph. Any questions on this so far? That's a dashed line. Okay, let me get my eraser. I have eraser, that's nice. And that's y sub 2. Any questions? Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. Number 15. Okay, well here, many of you missed this. Please pay attention to this. Letter A, horizontally stretch. When you want to stretch it horizontally, that's going to be affecting the x. Well, get the reciprocal of the 2. That would be 1/2. So within the x, you're going to put 1/2. So this is going to be parentheses 1/2 x quantity square minus 4 parentheses 1/2 x and then plus 3. Okay, so you first put it within the x. Then you simplify. So when you simplify, that would be 1/4 times 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. And this is x squared. -4 times 1/2 is -2. And then it's plus 3. And that's all you need to do.
So if I, instead of a 4, I put a 2, you didn't give any credit?
Not credit whatsoever. The whole thing is wrong. Because the equation is not the one that is going to give the transformation. So be very careful, okay? On the second one, vertically shrink by a factor of 1/4. Okay, so I just put the 1/4 outside the function. The function is x squared minus 4x plus 3. And then you distribute. When you distribute, you're going to have 1/4 x squared. 1/4 times -4 is -1. So it's -1x or just -x. 1/4 times 3 is 3/4. And that was the answer. there's a sign that's not right, a number that is not right, is not right. Yes,
You marked it right, but I'm not sure. Because I put
part of it, I guess.
Yeah, you marked it right, and then I put equal sign, so you marked it minus 2.
I put an equal. See, you did the
Oh.
inside part, which is the left side, you did this part, but you didn't simplify it.
Oh, okay.
So I put equals to what? So make sure you simplify all the way.
Oh.
Now, on number 16A, reflected across the x-axis. So what do you change? What do you do?
Put a negative.
Negative. What did you put the negative? Outside the function, right? So outside the function, that means that you're going to put a negative, and then the function is x cubed minus 4x plus 1. Simplify, distribute the negative, and that would be negative x cubed plus 4x, you distribute,
Minus 1.
minus 1. The last one on this section, reflected across the y-axis. What are you going to do here? In every x, you're going to put negative x. And then you simplify that. So negative x multiplied by itself 3 times. Well, that is negative x cubed. Negative 4 times negative x is positive 4x. And then it's plus 1. And that was it. Number 17. In number 17 is just reflected over the x-axis because you have the negative outside. Shifted to the left 7 units. And so the answer is B. 7 units left and reflected across the x-axis. Number 8. Okay, the point 2, it's a vertical. So in number 18, I was saying that the point 2, it's a vertical shrink by a factor of 0.2. And the minus 3, it's a translation, right, 3 units. And the plus 7 is shifted up 7 units. Okay, so what's the answer for that?
A.
Letter A, horizontal, shifting horizontally, 3 units right, vertical, that's right, it's A. And the last one, number 19.
But what did you put 7.0?
That's the software. It just keeps it like that. To confuse you, I guess, right? You're like, what? Okay, the last one, X and Y. Get the points. I'm going to get negative 4, 2, negative 4, 2, negative 3, 2, negative 1, 0, 0, negative 1, 1, negative 1, 2, negative 1, and then 4, negative 3. Then what you need to do, okay, if I have an x minus 2, what is the x minus 2 going to do?
Add 2.
Add 2 to the x, right? So add 2 to the negative 4 is negative 2. Add 2 to the negative 3, negative 1. Add 2 to the negative 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Now, the negative outside, negative f, I'm just going to put negative the function, negative the y. We'll change the y value. The y changes the sign. So it's just negative, whatever that number. The 0 stays the same. And then the plus 1, what are you going to do with the plus 1? What is that plus 1 supposed to represent?
Move up.
Move up. So you add it to the x or to the y? You add it to the y. So you add 1 to the negative 2, that's negative 1. Negative 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, and 4. And then at the end, make sure that you plot those points. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plot those coordinates. Negative 2, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, and 6, 4.
Do we have to put how many points? I just put like 5.
No,
Uh,
like 3.
Mande.
We're supposed to reflect it before we add the one?
1, 1. Sorry about that. Hold on just a minute. 4, 2. Hold on just a minute. Hold on. 1, 1. Negative 1, 0. 1, 0. 1, 1. I'm making a mistake here. Okay, a ver, Enrique, what is it?
Are we supposed to reflect it before we add, like,
You reflect it before you add the number. Yes, because then you're going to have something else. Okay, one more time. Negative 1, negative 1. Then I have 1, 1. 2, 2.
3, 2.
3, 2.
4, 2, 6, 4.
And then 6, 4. Okay, so. And that's the answer. Okay,